lining up for a decisive assault. Around 30,000 Iraqi and Kurdish troops started to move in on Mosul. But despite being heavily outnumbered, the estimated 3,000 to 5,000 Islamic State fighters could rely on home advantage to thwart the offensive. The jihadists set up an array of defenses, including tunnels and trenches throughout the city. They're also believed to have heavily mined roads leading into Mosul. These guerrilla tactics could considerably slow down Iraqi and Kurdish troops in their efforts to secure surrounding villages before the final assault. Another major challenge for the coalition will be to deal with a large number of civilians still trapped inside the city. The UN expressed extreme concern for what it says are an estimated 1.5 million people in the area. Banned from fleeing by Islamic State fighters, they're likely to be used as human shields. The Islamic State group's strategy to defend Mosul is similar to the one it used in Ramadi and Fallujah. In both cases, the tactics made it significantly harder for the Iraqi army to surround the cities, delaying their capture by several months, a scenario that could repeat itself in the battle for Mosul.
The battle begins. Tanks are moving towards Mosul as Iraqi and Kurdish troops get ready for the fight of their lives.
Today, we're gonna fight until we die.
The operation to drive the Islamic State group out of Iraq's second largest city was announced just before dawn on Monday morning by the Iraqi Prime Minister Haider al-Abadi.
The hour of victory has arrived. The operation to liberate Mosul has begun. The forces leading the operation are the brave Iraqi army and police forces. They and no one else will be entering Mosul to liberate it. They're there for your sake.
Iraqi forces have spent months preparing for the operation. Troops have been deployed around the city, along with tanks and heavy artillery. They're backed up by Kurdish Peshmerga fighters positioned to the north and east. Signs that the offensive was imminent came hours earlier when the Iraqi army showered Mosul with leaflets warning residents to stay indoors. Their fate is now a top concern for aid groups. The United Nations has warned of a potential humanitarian catastrophe. More than 1 million people live inside the sprawling city, and there are fears that they could be used as human shields by jihadist fighters desperate to hold on to their last stronghold.
Today, Russia said it will suspend bombing of the Syrian city of Aleppo for 8 hours Thursday as a humanitarian gesture. The city of 2 million is a ruin 5 years after rebels rose against the Syrian president. Today, the European Union said Russia's bombardment may constitute a war crime. In Aleppo today, Elizabeth Palmer found what each side is willing to do to keep on killing.
As day begins in Aleppo, so does the battle. Syrian soldiers and opposition fighters shoot at each other across a front line that runs right through the city center. Soldiers offered to show us where rebels had manufactured one of their signature weapons.
So this is an ordinary cooking gas canister, sawed in half. It's designed so that explosives would fit in the top part, perhaps shrapnel in the bottom, and then it would be reassembled with these makeshift fins, which would help to guide it like a very primitive kind of rocket.
The rockets were launched and aimed, sort of, through an ordinary piece of steel pipe. The Syrian army has homemade arms too, like the by now infamous and imprecise barrel bomb. As for its precision weapons, there aren't enough well-trained soldiers to use them accurately. And so the battle for Aleppo has largely stalled. Here on the city's southern edge, it's taken the army 3 months to advance 800 yards to those white buildings. And everywhere on this improvised battlefield, there is misery. Film me, an old man tells us. I have no food, no bread. I have nothing. Not even a safe place to wait out this grinding war. The fight for control of Aleppo, Scott, is less a pitched battle and more a ruthless siege, which is slowly choking the life out of half of that great city.
A siege of more than 5 years now. Elizabeth Palmer reporting for us inside Syria. Liz, thank you.
Thanks for joining us. I'm Dia Wall. Road rage sparking a deadly encounter along a busy strip of highway. We now know 35-year-old Clinton Alsobrook was found shot and killed in his car. It happened yesterday on the exit ramp from northbound I-29 near Zona Rosa. The shooter immediately called police on himself at a nearby gas station. 41 Action News reporter Allie Hoxie spoke with Alsobrook's wife. She joins us now live from the scene. Allie?
Alsobrook's wife says that she is devastated because he was working here in Kansas City to support her and her children back in Texas. The shooting happened right here on this exit ramp to eastbound 152, leaving his wife devastated.
I'm not mad. I'm sad. I'm sad for everybody.
Samantha Alsobrook says she got a phone call from police early Saturday morning.
When they told me that my husband had been killed the night before.
She and her husband, who goes by Randy, have been married for 13 years with 4 kids, 2 boys and 2 girls. Police say they were called around 10:30 Friday night by the suspect. They say he pulled over here at this Phillips 66 to call 911. Police tell us it appears Alsobrook and the suspect got into a fight while they were traveling along northbound I-29. Before Alsobrook was shot and killed along the eastbound 152 exit ramp. Samantha says police told her the suspect remains behind bars.
Anger issues are not a great thing. Some people can handle it better than others.
Samantha says she is heartbroken, but also feels bad for the suspect and his family.
I'm pretty sure he has a family, whether it's children, wife, or mom or dad, or sisters or brothers or whatever. I know they're hurting just as bad as we are.
Alsobrook's widow says they're in the process of trying to get his body back to Texas. Live in Kansas City, Allie Hoxie, 41 Action News.
Was shot after a nearly 2-hour standoff inside a home in Holiday. ABC Action News anchor James Tully joins us now with why the sheriff says his men had no other option.
The Pasco County Sheriff telling us this morning that what this man wanted was suicide by cop. It all happened early this morning in this neighborhood in Holiday. The man's name has not yet been released. Neighbors telling deputies they saw him arguing with his pregnant girlfriend, spitting on her and then telling her he had a gun. Deputies arrived to find him inside a bathroom, unwilling to come out and threatening to shoot cops. 2 hours of trying to get him out, not successful. When a SWAT team got in, the man charged at them with a knife and was shot and killed.
None of these deputies wanted this to happen. None of these deputies, they wanted a peaceful night. A lot of these SWAT deputies and negotiators that got called out here, they were home too, resting for their next shift. They responded because a pregnant female, she needed assistance.
That pregnant woman did suffer some injuries from the man who deputies shot, but she's going to be okay. She told him he had been drinking all day and may have also been on prescription drugs. And while we don't know his name, deputies have told us he has a lengthy criminal history, including charges for battery and drug abuse. Reporting this morning in Pasco County, James Tully, ABC Action News.
This is our top story this morning. 3 people are dead, including 2 young girls in West Phoenix. Their ages 4 and 5 years old. This is a location of the scene that's unfolding right now. Katie Connor is there with the very latest. Katie, can you explain what happened here?
Chris, right now investigators are trying to figure out a motive as to what caused this dad to maybe snap. Right now you can see the investigation behind me is underway. Here's what we know. Late last night, roommates said the suspect called 911 after hearing gunshots, and when officers got here, they learned that the victim's mom had also called 911 earlier out of concern for her ex-husband and their 2 daughters. Now inside the home, police say they found a 4-year-old girl and a 5-year-old girl dead near their dad. Investigators believe the dad first took their lives and then turned the gun on himself. Back out here live, police have not yet released the suspect's name. As soon as we learn more information, we'll pass along to you. This is a very developing situation out here.
Of course, there will be more than Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump on the ballots. Voters in Washington State, California, Nevada, and Maine will decide on stricter gun measures, including widened background checks for gun purchases. Juliana Goldman has more on this.
After mass shootings in Newtown,
the amendment is not agreed to.
San Bernardino,
The motion is not agreed to.
and Orlando,
The motion is not agreed to.
universal background checks have failed in Congress. But it could be a whole different story in Maine, where voters will see a very similar proposal on their ballots in November. David Trahan runs the Maine gun rights organization and opposes the measure.
I could easily be charged with a felony and lose my right to own firearms simply for letting a friend borrow a firearm for hunting.
Yet he's already admitting defeat, in part because he says he can't compete against the millions spent by a gun control group founded by former New York City Mayor Mike Bloomberg.
His millions go a long way in the state of Maine, but if he gets a win here, he can then go to other states.
Bloomberg's group has raised $3.7 million this year, compared to just over $420,000 by the National Rifle Association. While Bloomberg declined an interview, he said this to Face the Nation in 2014.
The vast preponderance of the public does not want criminals, minors, or people with psychiatric problems to be able to buy guns.
Polls show overwhelming majorities of Americans support expanding background checks. So in some states, a ballot initiative allows voters to decide instead of lawmakers who fear the NRA. David Farmer is a gun owner who runs the Bloomberg-supported group in Maine.
Do you think other states can see this and say, here are ways to get around the gun lobby? That
Right.
this is a chink in the NRA's armor?
The power still really does remain with the voters. And if they want change, you can make it happen.
In 2014, that's exactly what happened in Washington state, where the background check initiative easily won. Bloomberg's group and others spent over $10 million compared to the NRA's $489,000. Sources from gun rights groups tell us the reason the NRA didn't spend more was they knew they were going to lose. And that's Trahan's fear for November.
We're going to be a truly David versus Goliath fight here.
Juliana Goldman, CBS News, Washington.
Found dead in his cell. The magazine Spiegel Online broke the news that Jabbar al-Bakr had committed suicide in police custody. The Justice Ministry for the state of Saxony confirmed the reports that al-Bakr was found dead in the detention center at Leipzig Correctional Hospital. German media reports say he hanged himself in his cell. The 22-year-old Syrian refugee was arrested on Monday in Leipzig, suspected of planning a major bomb attack akin to those in Paris last year. Police discovered 1.5 kilos of TATP, the homemade explosive used by Islamic State jihadists in the Paris and Brussels attacks, in his flat. 3 fellow Syrians tied him up in this apartment and alerted the police, identifying him as the man police had been hunting for 2 days. Al-Bakr was under round-the-clock surveillance due to an acute risk of suicide and hunger strike.
Flames and smoke shoot hundreds of feet into the air over Ludwigshafen on Monday after 2 explosions, one of them deadly, at 2 BASF chemical plants in western Germany. A first gas blast ripped through the Lampertheim facility to the north, injuring 4 people, and a second larger explosion hit the Ludwigshafen site a few hours later. It left several more wounded and missing. The area at the sprawling complex, the largest in the world and BASF's headquarters, is used to unload flammable liquids and liquefied gas. The chemical manufacturer shut down 14 other plants in the area as a safeguard, as emergency workers fought to bring the ensuing blaze under control. While they were informed there was no direct danger, local residents were advised to remain indoors with their windows closed as a precaution.
In North Carolina, the hunt for a suspect tonight after what appears to be a firebomb attack. A Republican Party office was set on fire, one local party official calling it an act of political terrorism. The FBI is now on the case tonight. Hillary Clinton calling the attack on that Republican office horrific and unacceptable. Donald Trump blaming, quote, animals representing the Clinton campaign. ABC's Steve Osunsami is there tonight.
Police tonight say they're searching for an arsonist in what looks like an attempt to burn down this small Republican Party office in Orange County, North Carolina.
The firebomb came through that window.
Amazingly, only a couch burned. The fire went out on its own, and the damage wasn't discovered until this call for help Sunday morning.
It's a strong smell of smoke.
At a building next door, someone sprayed graffiti for all to see, calling them Nazi Republicans.
This is a horrific act of political terrorism.
On Twitter, Republican presidential nominee Donald Trump is blaming, quote, animals representing Hillary Clinton and Democrats in North Carolina. But the Republican Party chair here says that's too strong.
Said we don't know. We don't know.
Hillary Clinton has condemned this, calling it horrific and unacceptable. And Democrats have raised money for the office online. Republicans have raised money too, and they tell us the smoke damage here alone could keep them out of their offices well past the election. David?
Steve Osunsami, our thanks to you as well.